Hey everyone, it's Adrian Kwan, founder of the Pageant Project. Just before I get you over to Rachel Falzon's interview, I wanted to let you know we'll be launching our website soon. And if you'd like to get 20% off your first coaching session, sign up to the email list over there. And without further ado, here's Rachel's interview.
I'm Rachel Falzon and I'm competing in Miss Global Australia, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project, and I'm here with Miss Global Australia Finalist 2018, Rachel Falzon. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hi Adrian, thank you very much for having me today. I'm really excited to chat to you.
I'm very excited to chat to you too. Rachel, can we start off with, you're someone who's competed in pageants quite a lot, but I think when I read it, you have competed a few years previously. You took a bit of a break and then you came back to it. So can you tell us a bit of, I guess, your background in as regards with pageantry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been competing in pageants for about 6 years now, and I've competed in various types of systems. And for me, when I very first started, I was quite young and it was really an experience for me, and I was just looking to make friends. So I was probably a bit naive as to what pageants were really about. And then for me, I found Miss Global Australia, and I've competed in that pageant as well as Miss Galaxy as well, both systems run by director Lucinda Ferguson. And I really felt that after years of competing, they sort of gave me a bit of guidance as to how to get involved in my community. So before I really had no involvement, and from those bits of exposure, I found some charity work and community groups that I really wanted to continue being a part of. And for me, I as you said, I did take a bit of time off. So for me, what I'd been doing is competing in these pageants, and obviously I've been doing better every year I competed. So I just wanted to take some time off and regroup for myself, and actually spend a bit of time outside of pageant world continuing to work on any personal achievements I wanted to accomplish. So this year when I've come in, I didn't want to enter just any pageant. I did a bit of research to find the one that I felt closest to, which has been Miss Global Australia. So as we've been discussing earlier, Miss Global Australia is really a pageant about women empowerment, and it has a really strong message. And for me, that's extremely important. So when I came back, I wanted to come back and be involved in a pageant that I felt a really strong connection to, and that I really feel I can drive a message home for people. And hopefully my ultimate goal from doing this again is being able to be a bit of an inspiration, if I can, to others, the same way I've looked back on the other girls who have been involved in this particular pageant.
So what was it about Miss Global in particular that, I mean, you said you came back and you picked Miss Global as the one that you wanted to dedicate your attention to. So what was it about Miss Global Australia that made you go, okay, that's the one that I want to dedicate my time to?
Yeah, so it was the one I felt most comfortable in out of all the pageants originally. So I experienced it once, and I just felt the vibe for me personally was a lot more attuned to my personal goals. So at the time, Heidi was actually the reigning queen, and I really looked up to her. So she was someone that I thought didn't, to me, fit that normal stereotype of pageant system. She was quite inspirational in that the work she did for Oxfam, I believe she was working with, she was organising these very elaborate events, and she had the ability through Global to pick a charity that was close to her heart. So with some systems, they do assign a particular charity you work with, and I liked that freedom where I could say, this is what's important to me, and this is the message I want to communicate, and that's what I find I get out of Global.
Sure. And on that subject, what is your charity of choice? What is your cause of choice?
Yeah, so this year I've decided to work with Make-A-Wish Australia, and I'm really excited to do it because a few things sort of fell into place when I came across Make-A-Wish Australia. So when I was younger, I actually spent a few weeks in PMH, and when I was in there, I was quite ill. I was sick every day and I was collapsing and fainting, and I've always had this very distinct memory of this lady coming around with this helium sort of aluminium Minnie Mouse balloon that I was so excited about. And I just remember my mum looking at me and I just like lit up. And she bought it for me. And I remember just in that, I wasn't the kid that was in hospital anymore. I was this kid that had this really cool helium balloon that I was showing off and telling everyone about. And for me, it was only when I got older, I hadn't made the connection that that lady had been a part of something, and it may not have been Make-A-Wish, but an organisation that was doing the same thing. So when I came across them, it sort of, I realised this is what these people are doing. So I've signed up to be a Make-A-Wish volunteer, and I want to be able to do that for someone else. And these are kids as well for Make-A-Wish that have life-threatening illnesses. You know, I was just an ill child at the time. It wasn't life-threatening, but I remember the impact it had on me walking around the hospital quite happy. And so I'm dedicating a lot of time to trying to support them now. And I've actually just finished hosting my own fundraiser for them too, which was really successful. So I'm quite proud of that.
And Rach, just a quick question. What is PMH?
Princess Margaret Hospital, for those who aren't in WA. And PMH has actually only just recently closed down and reopens under a new name.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to chuck that in there. So your fundraiser, tell us how that went.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. So this is the second fundraiser I've held for Make-A-Wish. So about 2 years ago, I held a quiz night, and that was really successful. So I wanted to go along the same lines again this year. So this year I was a bit more strategic in my planning to make sure we could raise as much as we could. So I went for a games night, which I held at my house. And we had people come and attend, pay tickets to attend, and we also hosted raffles. So I was really excited that everyone's been getting on board with it. And I've got a current raffle going on at the moment too, which my work have also got involved in. And just from a day of advertising at work, I've already raised a couple $100 just by them. So they've been very supportive in what I'm trying to achieve. But the night went off fantastically. I'm extremely competitive. I'm just going to say I won a round of Uno, just putting it out there. I can't help myself. Uno, and we played Pictionary as well, and it was fantastic. It was a really good laugh for everyone, but also just my friends and family. I'm really appreciative of them because they continually support me and get involved in this as well. So it was a really great experience for everyone.
Okay, I have to interject with the Uno and the Pictionary, and I've been checking out your social media, and you seem to, in 2 posts, have mentioned bouncy castles. So
oh my God.
Are you really just a giant kid at heart? Because, I mean, otherwise you wouldn't love these sorts of things.
You've absolutely sprung me. So I'm definitely the biggest kid you will ever find. So I've also got the Nintendo 64 set up at my house. That's what you're playing Mario Kart and Donkey Kong in my spare time.
That is ancient. That's 10, 15 years old?
Ancient.
No, I'm not saying you are, but
I feel like I just became ancient. No, it's definitely from my era as a kid, and I think I'm in that niche now where I say, in my day, this is what games were like, and I just love it.
Do you remember what a tape is?
A tape. Yes, I do. And winding them back and the beautiful coloured rainbow you get and the beautiful noise at the end of videos. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Do you remember how to actually use one of those phones?
We had one. I saw something about this not long ago, but yeah, we had one, and I saw a video clip about kids these days trying to work out how to operate them, and it was very difficult for them to understand. You have to pick up the phone first. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, no, they were pushing the bits in between the dials and having a bit of yeah. Okay, I just had to ask that. I love that. Rachel, Harper Roy, I saw a photo that you posted up on Instagram, a letter of his. And that immediately caught my eye. Can you tell us a bit about Harper Roy, his story, because it sounds amazing?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's this little kid based up in Perth, and I actually found his post. I think it was through the Swans District Football Club. They posted on there that this boy, Harper, was raising awareness about sort of homelessness and people in lesser situations or poorer situations than other people. So what he wanted to do was try and give back to them and help them out. So my understanding is he's actually done this previously as well, but this year his drive was all around collecting socks. And I just saw it and I just thought, those are the people, that's the type of person we want to raise in our community, and the kind of messages we want to teach them, that's the right thing to be doing. And I was just really inspired by it. So for me, it wasn't a direct connection to a charity, but I really just wanted to say to Harper, what you're doing is brilliant. And we really love and support, the message, and to have that kind of heart at that age, I think is absolutely beautiful. So I did a bit of shopping for him. I got a bit excited, and we put together this big sock package on behalf of Miss Global Australia and dropped it off. And I've been talking to his mum as well, and she was very excited. He said he was just over the moon. So it's just great to be able to support people doing that. And I mean, she was very overwhelmed with the amount of feedback she got from the community too. So I'm just so happy that a lot of people got on board.
How old is Harper? 6?
I believe he's 6.
Wow. And just to tell everyone who may be listening to this, you posted up a photo of his letter. And if you can imagine a 6-year-old's letter, I mean, for a 6-year-old, it's fantastic, but it's very heartfelt. And what did he write? He said, I'm lucky enough to live in a warm house, but some people aren't. I'm paraphrasing a 6-year-old, but something to that effect.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what he had. So when I actually responded and provided him his package, I wrote him a handwritten letter back and absolutely said the same thing. I love the fact that you took the time to write out a letter and tried to change the world, and don't ever stop. And I actually chucked in, I think, a couple beanies for him too, and said, I hope this inspires you for next year too.
I just hope that your handwriting was slightly better than his.
So no, he's got skills over me, I'm telling you.
Oh, no, definitely. At the age of 6, to have those skills and to have that heart is amazing. Rach, what do you do for a job? for your 9 to 5? Because we can't pageantry for a living. So what do you do to pay the bills?
So I work full-time, and I'm a contract control manager in the defence industry. So I provide services to the Royal Australian Navy.
Okay. And that means absolutely nothing to me. So,
yep, you and most of the world.
It sounds cool, but I'll just nod here and go, yep, and still no idea what it means. So day to day, I guess, what does that mean? What are you doing? Who are you interfacing with?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, I'm actually based at head office. So at the moment, I'm responsible for a team of contract administrators. And what we do is maintenance planning for a specific class of ships. So the Navy ships obviously come in and go out and require maintenance. So our company provides those services. So it's up to us to make sure that they're ready to go to sea and their ships are safe and seaworthy. So it's a really important business that we're in. The teams on the ships are relying on us to conduct our job, so they know when they go out to sea that they're going to be safe and making sure they come home safely. So it's a fantastic job, and day to day at head office now, I'm a little bit more removed from them. So I do a lot of compliance work, but at end of last year, I spent 6 months on the ground at one of the naval bases delivering one of the ships. And it was a fantastic experience. So we work with the ship crew directly, and we also have a management office which work with what we call the Anzac SPO, which is a Commonwealth of Australia sort of authority body. It's a really exciting industry to be a part of.
And how did you get involved in that? Because that's not, and I told you this before we started recording, that's not a typical sort of girly girl industry to get into, or occupation to get into. So how did you end up where you are now?
So it was a bit of a long journey for me. So I was lucky enough to join UGL Rail as a project coordinator about 4 years ago. And from there, I've gradually worked my way up through the company. So I'm very lucky that I'm working in a company that affords me opportunities that perhaps not everyone today gets the chance to be engaged in. And from being a project coordinator, I was granted an acting project manager role in the rail industry. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the defence contract had opened up. So I transferred through, and I did the same sort of thing. I worked my way up through the commercial admin department before becoming a contract manager. And again, as I said, I am a very competitive person, but I'm a very driven person, and I'm very dedicated to making sure that people are awarded roles based on merit and dedication. So for me, I'm always in my workplace trying to give 120%. And I'm sure the people who tell you, the people that I work with will tell you that I'm probably quite a strong person to be working with, but I'm absolutely dedicated to the company, but I've also got that side mission where I'm trying to change the senior management's perceptions on women's roles in the workplace. And UGL, which is part of the CIMIC group, also have Winter, which is a women in non-traditional roles group, which I actively participate in. So it started out as an online type forum for women to sort of discuss the challenges they were experiencing. And it's growing into this bigger community now. And I think, even as I was saying before, that UGL is supporting me, and NSM, sorry, I'm part of a joint venture, NSM is supporting me, even as they've been made aware of my Miss Global Australia goals. They've been really, really fantastic. So they've put something in the company newsletter to help support me, and they're looking at actually sponsoring me. So I think you need to find the right companies and then drive to make the changes you want to see.
This idea of women in non-traditional roles is fascinating to me. Just out of interest, what are considered non-traditional roles now?
So for me, the way I see it is basically senior level positions. So senior management and executive level, and then in industries such as defence and the mining sectors. So personally for me, I quite look up to Elizabeth Gaines, was recently appointed a CEO role with FMG. And that for me is just a fantastic milestone in this movement we're trying to see, where, we're trying to drive people not to see women as ineligible for these roles. I think it just means that men traditionally give off this vibe, I guess, that perhaps they're going to perform well or they're stronger. And what I want to change is that women can deliver these roles. We can absolutely do the same, if not better in some circumstances. And it's the same, keeping that equal opportunity.
Why do you think, I guess we're basically talking about the glass ceiling here, which from experience, I know a lot of people don't believe exists, but it certainly does. Why do you think that glass ceiling exists, and what can we do to help get more women into those senior management positions?
Well, a big thing for me is that society tends to work towards band-aiding situations. So for me, I didn't even realise there was this glass ceiling until I entered the workplace. And then all of a sudden, it's this battle from the get-go. I think really what we need to be doing is educating our younger generations. So I never felt this way during schooling, and I think we really need to be sending the message to our children at an earlier age and trying to get them to understand what we're working with. But at the moment, giving women these opportunities, so you do see these days advertised, companies have the ability to recruit with an influence over gender as well, which helps get women into these roles. And that helps break down that barrier, I think, because the more people that see women achieving in these roles, the more likely people are to change their view on it. And it is a very long battle. But for me, I think I've said these type of things before, but I want to make those changes now. So in your workplace, if you can keep driving your managers to see the input you're having, then I really hope future generations of women can come into the workplace and not have to go through the same battle that I have for the last 10 years.
Okay, and when you talk about future generations, it's not like you're so old, right? So if there is a young woman or a woman of whatever age is in a workplace and is battling the sort of the patriarchy, the male hierarchy, they're not acknowledging her contribution for whatever reason. What advice would you have for someone like that? Because it's tough, because they're in your way, and they might be, maybe they're misogynist, but they're also your higher ups. So how do you deal with that?
I think it's very difficult, and it's a very personal situation as well. So for me, I've been in those situations, so I've had to make hard decisions in the past. So I spent quite a number of years with one company, and I actually had the experience of the manager telling me, and this was the managing director, when I was applying for a senior role, that I would have to attend mine sites and it would get quite dirty. And he didn't think I'd enjoy the fact that I'd be on a mine and had to wear PPE, so I wasn't eligible for the role. And in those moments, I think for me, I had to walk away from that company, because I don't think they were on the same career trajectory as I was. I needed to be moving forward. And that was a completely unacceptable comment, obviously. But I think you just need to decide for you where your career path is. So how long do you want to take to get there? Because sometimes it can take several years to form that relationship with your workplace and prove yourself. And sometimes we're not asking for free handouts. I'm saying go in there and work your butt off, because that's what I've been doing for 10 years to change people's perceptions. So I've been with my current company for 4 years, and it did take me 3 to 4 years to get into the management role. But I really feel now that they're appreciating the efforts that I put in and the deliverables I produce. So I think you really need to make a decision for yourself whether or not the company is going to be moving forward with you, or maybe if they're a dead end. Because if we can start changing some companies, then that's when it starts to expand and grow from there. So it really is a personal circumstance.
Sure. I mean, I will say it's very difficult because it means that you then have to, like, you walked away from that conversation. That means then you take longer to get to where you want to get to. And for a guy, it's not normally an issue at all. So it's an issue that I think a lot of guys won't understand. Rach, why did you become so interested in women's empowerment to begin with? Was this something that happened in school? Was it something that happened in university, or when you started your first job? How did you become so involved with it?
I really believe it was from that particular company. So that was the first company I'd entered into out of high school, and it was that negativity that sort of sparked my interest originally in it. I was quite blown away in that day and age that that kind of comment could have still been acceptable. And I was quite young at the time too. So even now looking back on it, I mean, I was quite impressionable and affected by it. And I'm a fairly strong person too. So I just think the impact that was having on other women maybe who aren't as strong would have just sat back and dealt with it. I had to sort of move on from there and go to another place. And I had a similar experience. And it was kind of in that when I went to the next place and I thought, how can this be happening again? Then I started getting that comprehension that it really was quite a commonplace occurrence in the workplace. And I think it was around that time, that's when I seriously started trying to make changes and really push myself to get into a higher level role to start changing people's idea of what that looks like.
Sure. And obviously it's an ongoing battle. How do you feel that your pageantry fits into this whole sort of ongoing battle? So you're dealing with largely men who see women in a certain way, and you're competing in pageants, which I have to say from experience and interviewing other people, for some people it doesn't help, because when they see you as a pageant girl, then their stereotypes are reinforced. So how do you see that your pageantry journey helps you empower women and helps you fight this battle?
Yeah, so for this year, I've actually taken a completely different sort of approach to it. So in the past, I felt strongly the way you did that if I was going to be seen to be participating in a pageant, that was going to have a negative effect on my career, because it was perpetuating a stereotype that I was trying to help break down. But I guess the older I've gotten and the more I've been involved in it, I just thought it's really unacceptable for people to have that opinion still. So what's to say that
doesn't stop them from having that opinion.
Yes, exactly. But I'm here proving them wrong. So what's to say I can't compete in a pageant and also knock out my career goals? And I am so glad I made that decision this year, because I was thinking that there was going to be negative repercussions from my business becoming aware of the fact that I was competing and perhaps being stonewalled from any potential career development. And it's actually had the opposite effect. So, to the point where they're considering being my pageant sponsor, and the HR department sending off an article I had in the newspaper to the corporate department, who are very interested in what I've been doing. So I think I've really gotten better at being able to use this opportunity. And as I said, for me, this pageant is about being able to inspire and change perceptions, and I'm having that ability to do it now in the areas I'm most passionate about. So I definitely think that if pageants are what I'm interested in, then it's what I'm going to pursue, and I'm going to keep going for my career goals as well.
And if you are, it's a month's time, isn't it? Just over a month's time. If in a month's time you're fortunate enough, let's say you haven't worked, but a lot of people have, if you're fortunate enough to have the crown placed on your head, what do you want to do with it?
Yeah, so this is a big one for me. So when I was talking about my hospitalisation when I was a child, I've always had this view that if I was to take out a crown, I've held off on this type of appearance, that I want to go back to the Perth Children's Hospital and do a similar sort of thing. So I'd love to be walking around with the helium balloons and then just making that little bit of an impact for the children, and also just using it to have a voice. So for me, a big thing people need to understand about being in pageants, regardless of whether I get the crown at the end of this or not, doesn't change my ability to keep working on these goals. But for me, being a part of this, it gives you, it gets the community a bit more involved. They get excited about, Rachel's competing in Miss Global Australia, and they want to listen and they want to be inspired and they get behind you. So I think that's what I'm trying to use from this opportunity. So even if I don't get the crown at the end of the day, you'll definitely still be seeing me around trying to do similar things.
Yeah, I love that. And I think we've talked about some deep and meaningful issues. So let me ask you a bit more of a basic one. What does pageant prep? I normally ask this first, but for a deep dive into all the tasty stuff, what does pageant prep look like for you? Because some people are just like, whatever. Some people are like 6 months out in advance. They're planning every meal of every day. So how are you preparing for pageants and how's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. I'm not going to lie. When you say it's 1 month away, my heart still does this little race here. But no, I actually really, this is what I'm saying about Global. I really enjoy it. So this year I've been quite specific about the charities I want to get involved in. So I have been doing my rounds with Make-A-Wish, and I also, there's Soul Super Patrol is this charity in my local community that does the rounds for the homeless. So I've been doing a lot of appearances lately, and particularly trying to focus on being involved in the Baldivis community. It also means, at the end of the day, let's say it's a pageant, a lot of pretty dresses going on. So I've got a lot of prep and planning for the events we have on the Gold Coast. And as well as that, it's just sort of trying to engage with the general public and let them know what's going on and what I'm about. So it's quite busy. I'm not going to lie, full-time work and a pageant, it is a lot of hard yakka. And I do get asked the question often, how do you find the time? And I mean, the best I answer it, I think it's Arnold Schwarzenegger has a video on time management, and he really talks in about it. If you really want something, you will find the time. And for me, I want it. So making time exist.
Yeah, if it's important enough, you make the time, even if it doesn't exist. So what aspect of the pageant are you most looking forward to? What's the most exciting part for you?
I mean, there's so many various things you can think about. So, I mean, I really enjoy getting people involved in it. So, family and friends and everyone on social media get quite excited about it. So that's really great to see that the level of support going out to all the girls. But I think getting across there and really meeting some of the newer generations as well. So I've been in touch with a few of the girls, and then some of the other girls I've competed with before. So it's great seeing like Alicia and Michaela's in there. Lisa's someone I've competed with before. And then Nita and Kelsey. There's so many girls that, really getting to know them and what they're about. And I really want to be able to just give them that message, don't stop trying. Like I said, I've been doing this for 6 years, and every single year I've grown a little bit more. And just because you don't come out with a crown on your head at the end of the day doesn't mean you've not been involved in something amazing. It doesn't mean everything you've done for these charities or your community is not amazing. Just keep working on yourself, and what more can you ask? So I'm very excited just to get across there and meet them. Got to say too, little bit about me. I love being on the stage. I know it's a really weird thing, but I actually enjoy it. Like it's this great moment where you feel like everything you've done over the last few moments, this pivotal moment on stage where everyone's out there supporting you. It's fantastic. I love the feeling, not going to lie. It's great.
Where does this competitive side of you come out? Where did that come from? How does this find expression? Because from my experience, people who are competitive, if they don't find a way to give it expression, that's not a good thing. So how competitive are you? You mentioned it 2 or 3 times. Yeah,
I am really competitive. So I've got a younger brother and an older sister. So definitely had to, fight for it when I was growing up. But I'm going to blame my dad. I reckon it's my dad's fault. So, hi Dad, love you. He's definitely, I don't know what it is. It's just, I need to be good at something. If you really enjoy something, you fight for it, you work on it, be the best you can be in that area. And I don't know, I just can't stop myself. So
but are you like crazy levels of competitive? Because I remember watching an interview, someone I think it was Will Smith, talking about Michael Jordan, the basketball, and Michael Jordan, one of the most competitive people I think that's ever lived. And even when they go out to have a dinner, be like, okay, let's see who can finish their dinner first. Are you that level of competitive?
That's brilliant. No, but I love those kind of people though, good on them. But, I mean, obviously, within reason, but I definitely do enjoy winning. So I've hidden it, but there's a little teddy bear. So my poor partner hasn't realised yet. So my dad, when I say I blame him, he had 2 girls before he had a boy. So I think I grew up having a little bit more of the boy experience. I grew up on a farm and doing those boy things. And my poor partner took me to a carnival when we first met. And there was one of those shooting games where you knock off the blocks.
Oh, I was just going to say, was it a shooting game?
No, he was convinced he was going to win. And I beat him twice for the record, and I won myself my own teddy bear. So it's a very proud moment for me.
And you keep the teddy bear because you're a supportive partner and you want to remind him how much you love him, or you just want to rub it in his face?
And how competitive I am, yes. So I'm just reminding him that, women can do the things men can do, and sometimes we can do them a little bit better too. So that's a little bit of my competitive streak for you.
This is not okay. Remind me not to get into a competition with you. Before we move to the close, what would you tell your 18-year-old self now? You're going to the competition. As we said, you had a bit of a break and you're going back into it again now. With hindsight, 2020 hindsight and the experiences that you've had, what's advice that you would give to your 18-year-old self?
I think for me, I'd really want to just teach myself to learn what was important to me. So obviously when you're quite a bit younger, I think you look up to the girls in the competition, and particularly the older girls, and you want to emanate them and be like them and, fight for the same things they fight for. But it's taken me all these years to really understand what was driving me. And I think that's what's making the difference for me this year is I'm fighting for something that I'm passionate for. This is something I really want to have an impact on in the world. So, if I could go back then, I'd just say, what do you want? What do you want to change? And, maybe I could have been a bit further along than I am now, but I mean, it's all this growing journey that you go through being a part of this experience. So it would have been great to know then, but I've made it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can wish that you could go back and have the experience, but there's no substitute. Rachel, what are the social media details for people to follow your journey?
Yep, absolutely. So if you want to jump onto Instagram, you can find me at Rachel Falzon _, and maybe we can drop the spelling in a little screenshot for you.
I will put it below. Don't worry about that. There's been much harder many harder things to Rachel Falzon _.
And if you like what I'm saying today as well, you can also jump on the Facebook page for Miss Global Australia, and they actually have a People's Choice voting page at the moment. So if you want to hop on there, find Rachel Falzon, give the photo a like, give the page a like, see what we're all about, if this is a message that means something to you, and hopefully I can make some changes in the world.
Yeah, and just to clarify with that, you do need to like the Miss Global page as well. So if you just like Rachel's photo, then it doesn't, everything counts for something, but it doesn't count towards Rachel's campaign.
Absolutely. Appreciated, but doesn't count.
Okay. All right, Rachel. So we finish with the same 10 questions every time. So here we go. Number 1, what is your favorite word?
Salt. I like salt. I put it on everything. You put me under pressure. I felt like it was like you must answer really quickly, and salt popped into my head.
You're competitive. Deal with it. Number 2, what is your least favorite word?
Pick a word. Rain. I don't like rain. So I associate sadness with rain.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. The most popular answer to that question, by the way, has been moist.
I knew it was going to be, but for some reason my head said, don't say moist.
You don't want to be cliche. Again, you're trying to be competitive. Okay. Question the 3rd, what turns you on or what gets you excited?
Let's say a good competition, a good round of Uno. I won't lose. You can verse me. I'm saying I'm a humble loser. I will say I am a humble loser, but in the inside of my head, I'm strategically planning how not to lose again. So my sister was playing noughts and crosses on Snapchat with me recently, and she won a couple. I hadn't been paying attention, and she sent me a message saying, you can't beat me. So every game since then, I've had to beat her.
It doesn't matter what kind of loser you are if you never lose, does it?
That's right.
Question 4, what turns you off?
I don't like arrogance. There's no place for it in the world. If I don't know, just be kind.
Yep, absolutely. Question 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Love. The opening of a crisp packet. You just know you're happy afterwards.
That's what you saw during pageant prep, opening bags of crisps. What about?
Honestly, I was opening a Snickers packet before this.
All right. What about what sound or noise do you hate?
Hate. There's actually something I have that's weird. No, I'm not going to remember what it is. Oh, when your car makes a funny noise and you don't know what it is, I just have to blare the radio until I don't hear it anymore.
When your car makes a funny noise?
Yeah, you hate that noise because it just means you have to go to the mechanic and spend a ton of money fixing that noise. So any noise that my car makes that I don't understand, don't like it.
And you deal with this by turning your radio on.
It's the only way you can deal with it, I'm telling you. You just turn it up and then it doesn't exist anymore.
You could take it to the mechanic.
Well, I could, but there's a lot involved in that. A lot of money, a lot of time. It could just run.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, question 7. What superpower? If you could have one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I want the ability to be able to disappear and reappear at any time I want, in any era, in any spot, in any place, in any world. So I'm very fascinated with even the sky and being able to just zip out into the middle of the universe and see what's out there in a heartbeat.
So you kind of want to apparate like in Harry Potter, but with time travel as well.
Yes, yeah. It's a very sophisticated skill.
I feel that you just picked like 5 superpowers in one.
Yeah, well, there wasn't any rules. It's a hybrid of superpowers that get to what I want, yeah.
I know, you're being competitive again. It's okay. Okay. What job or occupation, other than your own, would you most like to attempt?
Most like to attempt. I mean, if I'm doing like a real, what does Rachel want? I really love acting. I love entertaining people. It's something I've never pursued before other than maybe drama in high school, but that's, I'm a big reader and I love reading books, so maybe even an author, but I like transporting into a world that doesn't exist. So I love being able to convey that message to other people. And, when you talk about Harry Potter, how much people fell in love with it, I'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah. What about what job or occupation other than your own would you definitely not like to attempt?
Gardener. I kill grass without even trying. It sees me and it wilts. So honestly, I'm the worst. I can't garden to save my life. I killed my pet cactus, which I was very sad about. I didn't think that was actually possible, but I killed it.
How do you kill a cactus?
I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't have killed it. So that's my problem. But it died and it was very sad and brown and yeah.
Okay, well, we found something that you're not good at.
Yes, it's definitely gardening. I admit that any day.
Okay. All right. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Here's a smorgasbord of potatoes cooked in every way you could ever imagine. Knock yourself out. Potato is my favourite food. Mashed potato, wedges, roast potatoes, I could go on forever.
Yeah, please don't talk because I actually think potatoes are my favourite food too.
Yeah, that's right. And sneakily, I think they make vodka too on the side.
They make what? Oh yeah, okay.
Vodka. So what don't they do? When you think about a potato, what doesn't it do?
So what would you go for immediately right now? Because I would go for mashed potato with butter.
Mashed potato. So if you know Jade, I was maid of honour at her wedding, and the night before her wedding, we went out to dinner together in the restaurant, and we both looked at each other, and I was like, you know what, I just want mashed potato. She's like, it's brilliant. Both just got mashed potato for dinner. Mashed potato is one of my most favourite foods.
And this is Jade. How do you pronounce her last name? Is it McClew?
Jade McClew.
Jade McClew, who was good enough to help me at my book launch earlier this year in Perth. So mashed potato. So I'm assuming that, after this pageant is over, that your cheat meal is going to be either McDonald's because you could have fries or just a giant bowl of mash.
Yeah, absolutely. And in all honesty, I never really gave up mashed potato anyway. So I can't help myself. There's not a chance I'm giving it up for anything.
Okay. I am really hungry now. So if for no other reason, I'm going to end the interview now so I can go and eat something. I'm going to thank Rachel for her time. Look, best of luck with the pageant. I will be seeing you up there. I've never seen Miss Global before. I was up at Miss Galaxy. So I'll be interested to see if Miss Global, Miss Intercontinental and Australia's Teen Queen's any different. It's in the same location, isn't it? Surfers Paradise. Yep,
at the Marriott Resort and Spa.
So we're getting I don't know what your weather in Perth has been like, but in Sydney it's been freezing.
Here, yeah, it's been a bit the same. I think we had a 3-degree morning the other day and electric blanket and heater on and I wouldn't move. So
Okay, well, apparently the Gold Coast has been having 28-degree days.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. It is my home away from home. I've got my dad actually lives over there, so I'm very excited to get over there and catch up with everyone again. It's my second home.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm going to thank everyone for watching. We'll thank Rachel for her time, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time, Adrian. Really appreciate it.
Hey, it's Adrian again. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder to head over to thepageantproject.com, sign up to our email list to get 20% off your first coaching session. Speak to you soon.